So, the first article this week discussed performance appraisals and how companies use them as tools to highlight good work and also a learning opportunity to bring things up that employees can improve on. A lot of people tend to have a tough time with criticism and can take it very personally instead of viewing it as a way to better themselves. The first article that we had discusses a study that was done to try and show that people with learning based goal orientation would positively react to performance appraisals because they're striving to learn and grow to better themselves and better their work. But the article showed that people were actually significantly unhappy hearing negative feedback. It would make sense that people with learning based goals would want feedback, good or bad, to see if they are performing how they should or messing up and what they can improve on. But it was very interesting that the study showed that that was not the case, that they were still unhappy. I think people have an innate desire to want to be liked and want to be told that they're doing a good job. So people, when they're told that something isn't working or they're not doing it right, they take it personally and they have a hard time separating themselves as a person from their work selves and how they're performing. Also, so for using online assessments, I think online assessments are beneficial because they can be customized to be more geared towards your role description. If it's based on performance evaluation, it can be very specific on what you do day to day. It can also be tracked easier when there's a large population and a large amount of people submitting these assessments, and also saves a lot of time and effort where a computer system can generalize it, put it all together, file it, store it. One main concern I have with online assessments is when they are supposed to be anonymous. I have concerns of it actually staying anonymous, especially when an assessment is sent to you, say via your work email, and it says it's going to be an anonymous survey and an anonymous assessment, but your work email, it's still attached to your name, and I feel like technology, like the computer is going to be able to find that. So that is my main concern with that. It's also, my office did performance evaluations of management, and it was a survey set out to all the staff, and we were supposed to rate our experience with our company, with our management, what we think they can improve on or have been doing good. And it was said that it's all anonymous, your name's not going to be put on it, but it's registered to your work email. And it was later found out that management did see exactly who said what and who rated them on a 1 to 5 scale, which got very messy. And management, it shouldn't have been found out. It shouldn't have been told it was anonymous and it not be, but it also probably shouldn't have been spoken about and found out that it wasn't anonymous, because it kind of gave us a very untrusting feeling. And for paper and pencil assessments, they're obviously more old school and can be administered anytime, anywhere. You don't have to rely on a computer or internet to get them done. I also feel like they can feel more authentic and that your answers are actually going to be read instead of just putting them through a computer program. That's more of a personal thing, where if you are answering an assessment or a survey online, I think it can be generalized. Whereas if it's paper pencil, the person retrieving that is going through and reading each section and actually reading your answers, and I feel like they're taking more time to see what you actually said. I think online assessments, though, can be easier taking human bias out because the system can organize it, generalize it, and put the information in more of a matter-of-fact way. So at my current job, our official performance reviews are done quarterly, and unofficial reviews are kind of done randomly and frequently. So for our official reviews, management gets together with the doctors we work under and our team lead. They go through a rubric, decide if we are working below expectations, as expected, or exceeding expectations, then everyone has an individual meeting with our manager to discuss this review and go over it. This year, they incorporated our clinical lead. They had a rubric and a checklist, and she went in and observed all the medical assistants while they were doing a patient intake and reviewed it and reviewed the checklist of what we should and shouldn't be asking. I liked that better this year because not only was my performance reviewed in a general standpoint, but it was also a real-time assessment, seeing how I am interacting with the patients and how I am doing the task-by-task checklist every time. I think that was more beneficial having the lead that's on the floor and works with us day to day and seeing what we are and aren't doing in the performance evaluation, as opposed to one of the managers works from home, doesn't always see us, and is just more word of mouth assessment. So I like how it was done this year as opposed to last year. I do think without the improvement, there's a lot of critiques in the sense of there were people that the doctors would come together, and if I'm working with a specific doctor all the time, maybe asking Dr. B wouldn't be as beneficial as I'm not always with them. And a management assessing my work based on numbers of seeing the tasks, running my username, and auditing me and seeing the tasks that I'm doing is good, but also bad in the sense that they're not seeing live time of what's being done every single day and how effectively or ineffectively it's being done to get that overall evaluation of my job. My job does monthly meetings, and they do a shout out. So it'll be one or a handful of people that the director will shout out of, hey, you're doing a good job and here's what you did that's good. I think that's very beneficial, but it's also it's not as good for the individual, because if you aren't getting a shout out, you're not getting kind of positive feedback to want you to keep going. Our negative feedback is often discussed and often brought up to us real time or a few days later of, hey, you didn't do this thing right and this is how you should be doing it, or you kept forgetting this and this needs to change. That is constantly happening, which is good and beneficial, because taking personal feelings aside, you need to get told when you're doing things wrong so you can work to improve it. But I also think that my job personally would benefit from discussing more positive things and showing and highlighting what we are doing correct and right, so there is more motivation and encouragement to keep doing the job as we are doing it correctly. Thank you.